This presentation discusses chords in a minor key. Starting with triads in a minor key, we would focus on the minor scale, the natural minor scale. We would build a triad in each scale degree and analyze what kind of triad it was on 1 through 7. But we've already done that with the major scale. So let's save ourselves some time and just explore the relationship between the relative scale of a major scale. So starting with our major key signature, we've got our C major chord changes there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the pattern that you should be memorizing, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished on 7th. Okay, but since we've already got those chord types, let's just start on the relative minor, which would be which scale degree? That would be the 6th scale degree. So jumping in there, that would be our new 1 chord. And then we're just going to follow along with the other ones. So 2 ends up being a diminished triad. Ooh, that's kind of strange. 3 will be a major triad, and that would be the relative major. 4 and 5 are both going to be minor triads. And then 6 and then 7 are both going to be major triads. Interesting, a major 7. That's strange. So putting them in order and adjusting our notation there, we've got low A all the way up to A, and our pattern there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, now we've got our relative major, as I said, which is the 3 chord, but we've got some problems with our function now. Okay, first of all, 2 is diminished. So before, when we talked about 2 kind of leading to 6 and following the circle of fifths, it less now, because it's a diminished triad, it actually really wants to pull toward 3, just like 7 would pull toward 1. So this was would be a great chord to use if you were going to transition to the relative major. I'm going to play you 1, 2, 3 in a minor key. Okay, so that kind of works well. Next, the problem we have is that 5 as a minor triad is no longer dominant. Well, 5 is very important that it points back to 1. So what can we do? We have 2 options. First of all, we can use the harmonic minor. That's why it's called the harmonic minor, because it makes 5 a dominant function, or a major triad that would lead back to 1 in a minor key. Or we can simply just borrow the 5 chord from the parallel major. A major would have an E major triad, and we can just borrow that from the parallel. That's perfectly legal. You can borrow any chord actually from the parallel. Remember, parallel starts on the same note, different key signature. Either way, we're going to raise that G to a G sharp, and now we've got a major triad that will pull back to 1 a little bit better. So let me play you the difference here. I'm going to play 1, 5, 1 in all minor, and then I'm going to play 1, 5, 1, making 5 a major triad, so you can hear the difference. Okay, so again, the first time we had 1, 5, 1 all minor chords, and then 1, 5, 1 all major chords. Makes it quite a bit of a difference there. Another problem is 7 being major. Well, 7 doesn't really lead back to 1 very well because it's not diminished, and now it's a whole step below our Do, or our 1 chord. So here's 1, 7, 1 in a minor key, no alterations. Excuse me. Kind of the eye of the tiger there, chord change. So we can borrow again from the parallel major, or even use the harmonic minor. That we're going to do is raise that G sharp again, and now we're going to be starting not on a G natural, but a G sharp. That's important because now that diminished triad will lead back to 1. Let me play that 1, 7, 1 again with that alteration. Not earth-shattering, but it is important to have some dominant functionality there. So those are the 2 main changes you'll come up with. For the 7th chords, again, in a major key, we just use our Roman numerals. We don't have to tell what kind of quality those are with the Roman numerals, so let's plug in those below. We've got a major 7th, minor 7th, major 7th, dominant 7th on our 5, then our relative minor, which will be the minor 7th there, and then half diminished. Okay, so if we plug in the proper chord changes there, we're going to have minor, half diminished, major, minor, minor, major, and then a dominant chord built on the 7th scale degree. Okay, again, using the Roman numerals, we don't have to specify that, but we do have to know that. Now, the problems again, 5 is not dominant, so if we raise our G to G sharp, that makes it a dominant chord because we've got a major triad with a minor 7th. This is, friends, this is a good thing. Okay, that dominant 7th really leads back to 1 now, the same way the major triad led back to 1. Okay, and then the same thing with the 7 chord. If we raise the root note of that to be G sharp, that actually gives us a fully diminished 7th chord because those are all minor thirds, and that will pull back to 1 very nicely. Okay, so now we have a couple chords that will bring us back to the 1 chord, which is very important to have for our functionality.